Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Keyboard Awards 2022. The year has just wrapped up, and it was a very exciting year for keyboards. We saw a lot of new products. We saw a lot of interesting keyboards, some new creators jumping in, some new projects, new companies, just a little bit of everything. So today we're going to be going through 14 different awards covering companies of all different types, products, creators, and then running down some honorable mentions at the end. And I think that there is only one place to get it started. Now, there are a lot of products in the keyboard world, but there is only one product that you see sitting right on top of the keyboard itself. Yes, the switches matter. Yes, the case matters. But what does any of that matter if the keycaps are terrible? So, the first award we will be giving out this year is the Keycap Company of the Year. 2022 Best Keycap Company. Now, there are a lot of contenders here. There are many companies that sell keycaps. There are a bunch of companies that sell clones, that produce their own. But one company really stood out this year, and it was for one very particular reason. And that company, Best Keycap Company, Drop.com. And the reason is for one very particular thing, and that is their mystery boxes. They really brought something unique to the table. It was something that we didn't really see for a while. No other company brought something so unique with so much value so many times throughout the year. So Drop did 3 separate mystery boxes in 2022. The first 2 sets being all keycaps, and the final set being 2 sets of keycaps, switches, and a desk mat. All of them were $100, and I bought all of them, and all of them were valued well over $200 for me. The next category that we are going to be talking about is the best gimmick of 2022. Now, when I say best gimmick, I don't necessarily mean that the keyboard is bad, right? Or that the product is bad. But what I mean is that they brought something really unique, which would be the reason for buying the product. There were a lot of gimmicks. We saw screens inside of keyboards. We saw multiple knobs on keyboards. We saw all wooden cases, spring mount keyboards. We saw a lot of gimmicks, but one of them really stood out to me, and that was the Moondrop Dash with the built-in DAC. Now, this was a keyboard that, as you can see here, had a built-in DAC, a DAC amplifier. So you could plug your headphones in directly right there and get high-quality audio coming right out of your keyboard. This is super unique because there's a pretty strong connection between the keycap or the keyboard world and the audiophile world. A lot of people that find themselves in one find themselves in the other. So I think it was really interesting for Moondrop to make their first attempt at a keyboard also kind of flow with what they normally do, which is audio. A lot of people love to mod in the keyboard community. It's very popular. The modding community is massive. Even people that buy brand new, super expensive boards, we still throw foam or kill mat in them. We mod our stabilizers and such, you know. We love to tinker. But there is something to be said about something that you can take right out of the box and will be good. We call that a stock keyboard or a pre-built keyboard. And one that stands out right out of the box is truly magical. The less work you have to do, the better. But there is one keyboard that stood head and shoulders above the rest. There was a couple that were good that I considered, but one I just kept coming back to. And that keyboard is the Keychron V1. This is a board that came out just about $70, and you can get it bare bones for $70. You can get it fully built for under $100, and it is an amazing keyboard right out of the box. Now, unfortunately, not all of these awards can be good, and I do want to get the negative one out of the way early, and there really is only one negative award here. It is this one, and today we are going to be talking about the 2022 Bust of the Year. So this is the keyboard that, upon release, was the most disappointing. The one that was the most problematic. The one that had people the most upset about receiving it. And there were a couple that I know certain people didn't like, but there is one keyboard that pulled ahead. Stood out in the worst way possible. Was just heartbreaking for a lot of people. And that keyboard is the Freebird TKL. This is what people ordered. And it's just one of the colors. There was also a problem with the blue. But this is what people ordered when they ordered the olive green Freebird TKL. But the problem is that people ordered olive green. They got keycaps to match it. And it is yellow. Right? Here's another example of it. It is a yellow color. It is not olive green. A lot of people said that Keybs for All was even offering to recoat for people that aren't happy, which is a good step, but they don't trust the 3-month turnaround time after everything that happened. This securely positions the Freebird TKL as the bust of the year. It really isn't close. The next award is something refined. Something where if money were no object, this is obviously the choice. Best high-end keyboard. We're talking about a keyboard that cut no corners, that spared no expense. So it really takes a lot to stand out. And one keyboard really, really did. And that keyboard was the Signa Unicorn. This keyboard is breathtaking. They came out with two different options, and they spared no expense. A beautiful footprint and a gorgeous, gorgeous back weight. An unbelievable keyboard at an unbelievable price point, but a gorgeous board deserving of all the praise that it got. Now, high-end keyboards aren't for everyone, and I understand that. I, myself, have not jumped for massively expensive keyboards. Found that most of the time, I'm able to find something that's pretty good or almost as good as the really high-end keyboards for a lot less. I always tend to look for the best value. And I will say there were a good chunk of keyboards that provide a phenomenal value that I thought about here. You know, there are a lot of very, very well-priced keyboards that released in 2022 that could have taken this award. There was one that really stood out. One that really stood out to me. And we are talking about the best value keyboard here. This is the best value of 2022. Now, one keyboard really stood out to me above all else. And again, this is my personal preference in terms of sound and aesthetics. One really stood out. The problem is that it's basically impossible to get your hands on it. So I am giving two options here. The two options for the best value keyboard are the QK65 and the Keychron V1. Now, the reason why I am split between the two is the fact that the QK65 sounds unbelievable, but you just can't get it. So for all the same reasons I mentioned last time, the Keychron V1 is an unbelievable board. It will join for this win, simply because you can get it. Now, I know that there is something to be said about the sound. There's something to be said about the look. There's something to be said about the feel. But I need to talk about the uniqueness of a keyboard. And we're going to be talking about the Design Award. Now, this isn't necessarily anything in particular. It doesn't have to be the prettiest keyboard. It doesn't have to be the most unique, but it can be nailing a layout that isn't as common, like a full size or a compact full size. But that's not the way we're gonna go with this. So the Design Award of 2022, Best Design. I focused on something that is so unique that you couldn't help to notice. I saw a lot of reviews on this keyboard and they always had a lot of views. It was hard not to click because even if you didn't really care, you were interested. So the best design of 2022 goes to the Class 80. This is the keyboard that had a solenoid built in. That is right. I think you have to give the credit where the credit is due. This is such a unique keyboard. Nothing else is like it. And I think that we need to highlight it for that. Now, of course, the keyboards are important, and we have talked a lot about the keyboards. What is a keyboard without the switches? If the keyboard is your body, the switches are the heart, right? They keep everything moving. They keep it working. It is arguably the most important part of the keyboard. And that is why we have to take a moment to highlight the best switch of 2022. Now, a lot of switches came out this year. We saw new switches from Gaterons, like the CJ switches. We saw the new Holy Panda X's from Drop, right? Even Mode Designs was coming out with their own switches. But one switch really, really stood out and was kind of mind-blowing with the value that it provided. And that switch is the Cream Blue from ACO. This is a tactile switch, so it is unbelievable that I am willing to give that award to a tactile as a linear boy myself. But the ACO Cream Blue was such an unbelievable value. Even stock, this switch blew my mind. It was truly amazing. My review on that switch has over 5,000 views on YouTube because people are continuing to have their mind blown by how good the switch is. The ACO Cream Blue, whether you like tactiles or not, is the switch of the year 2022. 2022 has been quite the year. I think it's time to talk about the future. Some of these things were very, very exciting, to the point where their releases got people so excited that it felt like everybody was talking about the pre-order or the group buy or the launch day. There were some products that truly, truly took over keyboard internet. Now, there were a couple that I think stood up to potentially receive the most anticipated release of 2022. Two really stood out to me, and it was very, 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 very hard to pick between them. And the two that really stood out to me were the Zoom TKL and the QK75. But I think I can only pick one. So the winner for the most anticipated release of 2022/23 is the Zoom TKL. The Zoom TKL is a beautiful board. It's a TKL, obviously. It has a layout that a lot of people are comfortable with. It has this beautiful glass or mirrored back. It has an unbelievable sound profile for such a good price point. This is a keyboard that really knew what it wanted to be. And at an under $200 price point, this keyboard is already fighting for the best value of 2023. And that rolls right into the most potential. So yes, there is anticipation, but will it actually deliver? That's where it's hard. This is a prediction, right? This is my guess. What do I think has the highest ceiling for next year? Or the lowest floor? It's really however you want to look at it. But I think this prediction is kind of what is the most surefire bet? The thing that would be the most disappointing if it didn't turn out well. After just thinking about it a little bit, with all the other awards, there was only one thing that made sense. And the only thing that made sense for the most potential of 2023 was the Zoom TKL. I know it just won the most anticipated, but I think that right away qualifies it for the highest potential. It's anticipated because of how good it has looked in its reviews, how amazing it sounds, and the price point. Therefore, it has the most potential. It would be the biggest disappointment if things didn't pan out. Now, obviously, when we're talking about the most potential, that is the most likely to be a slam dunk. But there's the other end of that spectrum. And the other end of that spectrum is the dark horse. The next award is the dark horse of 2023. The unexpected product. The sleeper pick, maybe. A product that if I told you should buy it, you might question me. But this is my prediction for a keyboard that will stand out. Maybe fight for the best value of 2023. This is a keyboard that I bought into the group buy of, and I think is going to be amazing. So the Dark Horse 2023 winner, in my mind, the product I think will be the best, is the Killer 65. The Killer 65 is a 65% keyboard by Eris Studio and designed in part by Lewis Toe, who is a mechanical keyboard content creator. We have looked forward quite a bit, but I think we need to stop and review. We're leaning into our biggest 3 awards of the night, and those awards are the Company of the Year, Creator of the Year, and Keyboard of the Year. But I would like to start with the Company of the Year. So, Company of the Year is a very, very difficult choice because there's a lot of companies in the mechanical keyboard space. For me, when I got into the hobby, the thing that was the most intimidating was the price. And if I spend so much, I want it to be good, but what if it's not? So for me, the Company of the Year this year, I wanted it to be something that helped me dive into the hobby deeper. Something that provided a lot of value at a good price point. Something that was extremely accessible. Something that had options at every layout. I wanted it to be something that is easily recommendable to all people. Whether they're a mechanical keyboard nerd or, the average person just looking for a new keyboard for their desk. So the Company of the Year for 2022 is Keychron. Now, that might seem like a cop-out. I know that Keychron doesn't have the craziest layouts. I know they don't have the craziest designs. But that's not really what I was here for. That's not what I wanted to be pushing. It wasn't going to be anything super crazy. I wanted it to be a company, like I said, making keyboards more accessible to the average person. And I think that that's what Keychron was doing this year. This next award is one that I am very, very excited about. So, as you all know, this year I started streaming. I started making YouTube videos, and part of that content has been keyboard content. You kind of have to follow in the footsteps of those that have come before you. And that leads us to the creator of the year of 2022. For me, I needed to pick someone that, I looked up to, someone that I thought did a lot of amazing things this year, someone that I thought created more than anyone else and better than anyone else, someone that engaged the community and helped broaden the love for mechanical keyboards. And when I thought about all of those things, the answer was insanely clear. There was only one person who even potentially could win it. And that person, the creator of the year, is Lewis Toe. Uploaded every single week of 2022. Uploaded once a week, every week. Covered budget products, compared switches, did IRL content, hosted giveaways, gave away to his community, and even designed his own keyboard. Lewis Toe took steps that no other creator would, which makes him the obvious and easy choice for the mechanical keyboard content creator of the year. Now, the final award we have to give out is the big one. The big one indeed. The Keyboard of the Year 2022. Obviously, this is the big one. This is Best Picture. This is Best Actor in a Leading Role. This is the one. The product that I thought was all around the best. We saw the best value keyboard. We saw the best high-end keyboard. But what's just the best keyboard? If you could spend any amount of money, what would just be the best keyboard? And to me, this might be kind of a lame answer, but I felt there was one keyboard that was the most recommendable, that always surprised me the most, that sounded good with every switch I put in it, and that didn't really need a lot of work to sound amazing. And that keyboard, the keyboard of the year, is the Keychron V1. I know. The Keychron V1. I have one right here. This is my Keychron V1. Sorry, the lights are messing with it. But this is a keyboard that you can get for under $100. Under $100. Fully built. It comes with screw-in stabilizers. It comes with plate foam. It comes with silicone for the case. It is just a phenomenal value. It is a phenomenal keyboard, and kind of no matter what you do to it, it ends up sounding really, really great. I would love to get any feedback. So what categories would we like to see added? What companies did I miss? What deserves a little bit more coverage in the next awards that I do? Because obviously I can't get to everything.